Now, let's talk about the rise of active youths in Kenya. Since the Gen Z protests of 2024, I have seen a lot of, for me personally, and most of you Kenyans, maybe you've known this all along and you've known all of this, but to me, it came to focus that the Gen Z, especially of Kenya, are at the forefront of shaping this country. Now, most of the time when I talk about Kenya, Nigeria is there because whether you like it or not, or whether anybody else likes it or not, Nigeria and Kenya are at the forefront of shaping what Africa must be in the future. And this procession is being led by youth. Okay, so today I want to talk about the level of activism in Kenya, the level of youth activism in Kenya, the protests being led, or the revolution, not really revolution, but the transformation of the political system being led by youth of Kenya. Now, I want to talk about Kenya especially because as a Nigerian myself, these are things I wish to see in my country. That is why you see the government of Kenya making youths disappear. Some of them turning up dead. They don't want this generation to move forward. They don't want this generation to transform the country. They don't want this generation to be heard. Now, in the process of making this video, I did some research to find out what the demands are, how the government has marginalized the citizens. But I found out in the process also that there's a bias. There's a bias out there put out by international organizations, by international journalists, international magazines, international TV stations and radio stations that have put this confusion and misinformation that is permanently based online. And if you go by that, you will not see the things that is happening in these countries, especially in Kenya. I have been to Kenya, so I can say that most of the things I saw for myself are not what international journalists have written. Okay, international organizations have written about Kenya. I know that things are not where it should be, but it's not as worse as they've made it to be. Now, as a Nigerian myself, you see, we used to have disappearances of citizens. Citizens will disappear just like that. Some of them will just be murdered officially. They will let you know that, and that was during the military administration. Like I've always maintained, I'm beginning to see a pattern in Kenya. I don't want Kenya to be like Nigeria. Okay, I don't want Kenya, although you guys are not I've never been in the military dictatorship, but I'm trying to say that the pattern, the heavy-handedness of the government that is actively hunting down youth, arresting youth, where in a situation where they should just put out, mobilize the police authority and quell whatever uprising is there. But at the end of the day, somebody ends up being dead. That is not okay. Now, today I want to talk about the new wave of change in Kenya. You see, the population of Kenya, from what I understand, 80% of the population is 35 years and below. That is a surprise to me, but not really surprised because of what I saw when I came to Kenya. And since last year when I came back, I've been consistently consuming Kenyan information coming out of Kenya all the time. So I've seen the level of youth. Okay, everywhere you see in the streets, in occasions, everywhere the youth. So here, during my research, I found out that 80% of the population is about 35 years and below. Now, the challenges that this youth face, economic challenges. Okay, I've seen the President Ruto, where he went to give money to some church, 20 million shillings to some church for whatever. And then the following Sunday, I saw the church now organize hiring for the Kenyans to go and be housemaids, to go and be Uber drivers abroad. Abroad. This is not what the government do. So it's embarrassing. Now, if I'm going to mention a lot of Kenya here, but at the same time, it's Nigeria too. Nigeria and other African countries, maybe Uganda, not really Ethiopia, but other African countries, but Nigeria and Kenya specifically. Okay? You see it like a Kenyan, when the president and the church, I forgot the name of the church, when they organized that thing where you have thousands of Kenyan youth come there to look for jobs so that they can go be housemaids in Saudi Arabia. These are graduates. Most of them have 2 degrees. 2 degrees. Instead of you, Mr. President Ruto, instead of you to take that 20 million and then the one you promised, another 100 million you promised to give to that church, instead of you to use that and other funds from the government to create jobs for your citizens, you are trying to ship them abroad. A lot today, as a Nigerian, there are a lot of Nigerians who have left due to the harsh economic realities the government cannot do anything for, especially Nigerians who have had education. So a lot of Nigerians travel to go seek for better lives outside. Okay, but there has never been a time where the government sponsors a church or sponsors anybody and say, okay, you go and be a taxi driver, you go and be a housemaid. There are stories online of Kenyans turning up dead, coming back with missing intestines, coming back home with missing kidney because they have been harvested in the Gulf states. Why would the president support that? Why would the president support the sufferings of his people? Why is that possible? Why should that happen? Okay. Now, there's this economic inequality and there's the political corruption which has actually prevented youths, has prevented the Kenyan youths, has prevented the Nigerian youth from gaining employment. Like I've stated, most of them come out of school, but because of the level of corruption, I've said here before that I didn't know that Kenyan politicians are corrupt. I was saying that they are copying Nigerians, but I didn't know they are corrupt also. So these are the things that are preventing the government policies from being implemented because there's so much corruption in the system that siphons money, takes money away from projects that can help the teeming youth, okay, that can help the average Kenyan. There are a lot of Kenyans who are highly educated from what I know. Okay, the quality of education in Kenya is very high compared to a lot of African countries, including the giants. Okay, so, and then there's social injustices which prevents these Kenyan citizens from enjoying their country. What do I mean by social injustices? You see that there are opportunities that should be given to the youths is being taken away. Is being destroyed through corruption. So I don't know if there's nepotism in Kenya, but nepotism is rife in Nigeria. For me personally, let's say I go to Nigeria, now to look for a job. It will be very difficult for me to get a job because I need to know somebody. My brother has to give me a job, or my uncle or somebody, but I cannot be a nobody in Nigeria and just get a good job that I deserve. It doesn't work like that. And I see that is what is happening in Kenya that denies opportunities to Kenyans. These social injustices lead to high unemployment. I understand the level of the unemployment in Kenya, especially those that have got the qualification and they come out, there's not much for them to do. So a lot of them actually go to the Gulf states because let's be honest, if you make good money in Gulf states, you can actually come back to Kenya and use the money for something better, maybe build a house for your family, set up a business for your siblings, and take care of your older parents. Same thing with Nigeria. Nigerians are in the Gulf. They are everywhere in the US, UK. A lot of the foreign remittance in Nigeria today is higher than the money Nigeria makes from oil. foreign remittance. Let's say today now, myself and other Nigerians who live abroad refuse to send money for a year to Nigeria, Nigeria will collapse. Okay, Nigeria will collapse. Because what is happening now, we subsidize the government. Okay, when there's little money the government is supposed to use to do for the people. Now, when we now send money to our people back home to survive, government will now pocket the rest and share it amongst themselves. I know there's Kenya also, there's high rate of remittances, foreign remittances coming back into Kenya to look after, to take care of projects, take care of family and other stuff like that. As of last year, it was Nigeria, India. India was number one, according to Western Union and other foreign remittances. India was number one remitter in the whole world, followed by Nigeria. Imagine the billions of, like I've said, it's better than the money Nigerians in diaspora send back to Nigeria is higher than the budget. It's higher than Nigeria's budget. Okay, yearly, it's been like that for the past 20 years, and that has given politicians an open field to embark on corruption. Now, let me go to the rise of youth activism. I cannot mention some of them, but last year, when the finance bill was, about to come down and bite Kenyans, that's when the Kenyans came up. They fought the government to a standstill, and the president was forced to resign. That is the highest moment of my life last year. I've made it, you guys know the videos here I've made. That was the highest moment of my life last year, because imagine if Nigeria did that. Imagine the Nigerian youth have never forced their president to back down from anything. To back down from anything. When Nigerians find things very tough, too tough to handle, they turn to God. That's what we do. We turn to God. We don't hold our president or our government officials responsible for anything. We turn to God. And this is where we are as a country. Now, like I said, there are some Kenyan citizens who, I wrote their names here. Now, some of them may be controversial to you, but I want to mention a few of them here that are involved in this youth activism, which I think they are going to be the leaders of Kenya tomorrow. Now, this Kebaso, Morara Kebaso, I think that is the guy is is politically connected. He's politically connected, and I know some Kenyans have like a big question mark next to his name, but he's there, he's making noise, so let's give it to him. And then there's Kasmuel, is it Makure? Kasmuel, I like that guy a lot. He's very articulate. Every time you see he's very articulate. I wish we have people like that in Nigeria. We do have them. We have people like that in Nigeria. They are based in Nigeria, but they are too scared. They can't even do it. Even if they have the voice, as soon as they want to say something, the government would entice them with money and will shut them up. They will go to the background. They don't do anything. Okay. Now there's Ekai Nabanyo, Janet Mbugwa, Boniface Mwangi, Dennis Nzioki, Audrey Mbugwa, Victoria Kimani, Winnie Asiti, Walid Ahmed Ali, Sitawa Wafula, and Wangi Mukami. These are some of the names of the activists you guys have in your country, the youth activists who I think are going to shape the future of Kenya. Like I've said, I wish we have this amount of people in Nigeria. For me, I'm not in Nigeria currently. If I was in Nigeria, I would make the same noise I'm making, but I'm not in Nigeria. When I was younger in Nigeria, during the military, when the military canceled the political election in 1993, I went out to protest. Okay, I was beaten. I don't know. I was arrested by the military and taken to barracks. I was beaten overnight. The following day, I could not walk to my house. They dumped me in front of the barracks. I stayed there. I could not walk. I didn't know anybody. There was no cell phone back then in 1993 in Nigeria. There was no cell phone. I had to stay there in the grass. My knees were weak. My legs, they were bleeding. I could not walk home. I was there till they let me out in the morning. Until towards evening, I was hungry. I peed on myself. I could not do anything. I stayed there until somebody towards the evening, somebody that I saw somebody that I know. I called them. They now put me on a vehicle and took me home. So if you see me angry with the Nigerian government, they did something to me which I will never forget, that stays with me till this very day. So next, there are various platforms which Kenyan youth have been able to utilize to challenge the government. Social media is number one. Social media is number one. I think last year during the Gen Z movement, that's when, Kenyans organized on social media and came after the government. The government will go this way, the youth will come from the other way and bombard the government. Most of you are in X spaces, you are in, I don't know much about Instagram, but you are all over Instagram, Telegram. You're all over the places organizing. These are things that did not exist in the past, but these are things Kenyan youths are utilizing to fight the government today. Now, there are also grassroots organizations. I may not be able to mention them here in Kenya that the youth utilize to demand better from their government. In Nigeria also, we have different youth organizations, but like now, those youth organizations that should be fighting for better future for themselves have been co-opted by the government. You will hear them today that when something happens and the half of Nigeria is angry, this youth will now receive money from the government and go and protest in support of the government. This is what we do. Okay, this is what we do. Our youth are not organized enough, are not disciplined enough. The government of Nigeria deliberately keeps the youth hungry so that when the time comes to use them, it's easy to do it. I'm saying this, I don't want Kenya to turn out to be what Nigeria is now. I love Kenya, okay? You cannot be like Nigeria. I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that you don't become Nigeria. Now, there are things that are impacting the future of youth in Kenya. Now, the influence of social public discourse and policy decisions. And then there are also organizations. I don't know about how many international organizations kind of speak or echo the demands of Kenyan citizens. I don't know if there is any, but from what I understand, Kenyan citizens have been able to do this by themselves. I know during the Gen Z uprising last year, the Kenyan government accused the Ford Foundation of sponsoring this thing. Yeah, there's no evidence that Ford Foundation was involved in that. It's just the Kenyan youth that are pissed off, that are angry that their government has abandoned them, and then engaged in so much corruption that they came out to protest. So there was no influence of any international organization that can be shown today to convince me and other people that they took part in it. Now, there is what are the challenges and opportunities? Challenges that young activists, some of those ones that I've mentioned, some of them have been arrested already. They have been arrested, jailed, they've been punished, they've been let out and things like that. But the young activists in Kenya face the continuous threat of arrest, detention, disappearance. Some of them turn out dead. So it's a risky business, but they are doing it for their country. Kenyan citizens are doing this for their country. I'm not happy when I see it sometimes, but it does something to me when I see small thing happens and maybe the police in Kenya shoots and kill an innocent citizen that is coming out of the mosque, that's not doing anything. They kill that citizen. You see a lot of anger in the streets. In Nigeria, if somebody dies like in that manner, it's just like any other day. Everybody goes their way. Everybody goes their way. Now, in conclusion now, I'll call on the youth in Kenya and Nigeria to realize that this is your country and this is your future. Nobody is going to fight for you. The old men, the old politicians, the corrupt politicians, there's so much money in that position. It's very hard for them. It's very difficult for them to willingly give up that position. It must be taken by force. Now, by force, I mean through organizing, through persistently pushing them to the corner. Okay, now in Nigeria also, I've said it here several times, Nigerian politicians are the highest paid in the world. A Nigerian senator makes more than the US president, officially. Okay, Nigerian senator makes more than every other African country politicians. And I believe in Kenya also, the senators, the governors, and other CSCs and other people make so much money. And this money to the is too much. It denies the youth the opportunity. If you take more than you need, you deny the opportunity to the youth to create jobs, create meaningful things for themselves. I love the enterprise nature of Kenyans. You see them hustling in the street. You see them everywhere, in the business center. You see, I like the hustling nature that I've seen in Kenya. In some way, it's like Nigeria. We are just like, that's why I'm saying that at the forefront of Africa's renaissance or Africa's moving forward from now is Nigeria and Kenya, because we are very enterprising. We are very hustler. We have this hustler mentality about us. All right, guys. Thank you so much for this video. It took a little bit longer, but I hope you understand that I love Kenya as a Nigerian. I love my country too, but we have to come together to make our continent better. Viva Kenya, viva to the youths of Kenya and Nigeria. Thank you.